Hi there everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm coming at you from a slightly different setup today, purely just because the lighting in the upstairs bedroom was not that great, so I figured I'd come downstairs into the living room and see what it's like down here. It's still not perfect, but it's slightly better as I am filming this in the morning. First things first, I'm absolutely boiling, so this hair needs to get tied up. So as you can see from the title of the video, I'm kind of doing this like a month or so too late, but I figured I'd just film a quick welcome to my channel video, get to know me sort of thing. It would be nice to look back on this in like a year or two to come and sort of see how I describe myself now in comparison to how I would describe myself then. I do actually have some notes with me today because it's kind of weird that when you sit down and you think, so what can I say about me, that not too much comes to mind and you actually have to give it more thought than you would have figured. So I do actually have notes which I'll be referring to because there's a few things that I definitely want to make sure that I cover. I also have made sure that I have got a drink with me today because I've noticed that on a lot of the videos that I film I talk and talk and talk, which then makes my throat quite, not sore, but worn out. And I'm like, Tanya, why don't you just stop and have a drink? So I've got a drink with me today and hopefully that will make me feel a little bit comfier. So other than that, I suppose we should just get started. So first of all, I suppose I should probably introduce myself. As you know from my username, my name is Tanya. Alexis is actually my middle name, not my last name. My last name is Pomeroy, which I didn't want to use because I'm growing to hate it. It's not hard for me to pronounce, but I feel like when I say it, it's hard for people to understand. So I actually used to hate my middle name, but now I'm growing to love that. So I thought Tanya Alexis had a nice little ring to it. I just figured I'd go with that as I'm starting to like my middle name a little bit more now. I want to use it a bit more. I should probably also say that I am 21. If I was about to say I've not long turned 21, but I have. My birthday is the 25th of June. And linking on from the fact that I'm 21, I don't know if I've already mentioned university on this channel, but I've just finished my BSc psychology degree. I study at Coventry University and I absolutely loved doing my first degree at Coventry so much. I really enjoyed psychology. It's something that I've been quite passionate about since A-levels. And then the next question that always leads on from that is, what career do you want? What can you do with psychology? And the answer is I can actually do nothing with my BSc apart from a few like research assistant posts, which isn't really what I'm into. Like, I'm not actually qualified to do anything. So my overall aim in life is to be a clinical psychologist. This is something that I've had my heart set on for the last 2 years or so. I knew when I came to university that I wanted to do something regarding counselling, but after exploring different paths, I know that the clinical psychology doctorate is actually what I'm aiming for. How am I going to get there? God knows. I actually start a master's in September, which I'm also studying at Coventry. I'm doing the applied psychology master's without a placement, purely just because I couldn't afford to do it with a placement, which granted I do work alongside the degree as much as possible. However, I have lost quite a few of my ways of getting income during COVID, so hopefully things will start picking back up a little bit and I'll be able to get a little bit of income. But it is quite hard to fund a master's. I feel like a lot of it is self-funded. So I do start the master's in September, but it is without the placement yet, which I am gutted about, but I also reminded myself that I already do voluntary work and things and I can get experience myself without actually needing to do it on the degree. I can do a whole separate video on psychology if you like, just comment that down below and I'll figure out what I can talk about in there, like career wise, how I'm getting to where I want to be, what work experience I'm doing, etc, etc. So when I was thinking about hobbies and things, I wasn't really too sure what my hobbies were when it first came to mind. And then I was like, actually Tanya, you've got so many hobbies. So my first hobby I would say is kind of my work. I don't know how much detail I want to go into about it as there are some confidential things that I won't be able to speak about, but I do volunteer in my local hospital once a week and I also volunteer at a charity here in Coventry, and I just really love it. Both roles are quite healthcare-y. That's not the right word at all, but yeah, they are both quite healthcare-y, and they do revolve around mental health, which obviously links in quite nicely to my career and course of choice as well. So I do actually really enjoy volunteering, which probably isn't something that many people say, but volunteering is obviously a choice, and therefore what I do is what I enjoy. So that is probably like my first hobby as of now. Another thing that I obviously love to do, given my last few videos, is travel. Last year in 2019, I went to so many amazing places, and then I was lucky enough to end it by going to Poland to visit Auschwitz, which is another interest of mine, which I'll talk about in a second. And I finished off the year in New York, which was absolutely incredible. Myself and Charlie visited New York last year, and we went there for New Year's Eve and stayed until the first sort of part of January. We also visited Washington whilst we were there. It was absolutely incredible to go to the Times Square ball drop, as you can probably imagine. It was such a magical feeling, and to be in New York over Christmas time, it was just amazing. So yeah, travelling is definitely a hobby. I really wish I had the opportunity to do more of that this year. Obviously with COVID, a lot of things got cancelled for everybody, so I did have a few trips lined up that I wasn't able to do. However, I am very grateful that I was able to just visit Switzerland. Hopefully there'll be a few more places coming up towards the end of the year, dependent on what my term dates are at uni. So travelling is definitely a massive hobby for me. And again, if you'd like me to talk any more about any of the trips that I've been on, or do like little guides with tips and advice of where I've been, then please let me know down below. As I just mentioned, I went to Auschwitz over Christmas holidays. I have been there once before, and it's honestly such a moving experience, and it's something that I really have an interest in. I don't know why, but when we were doing our redrawing school, that was when I first visited Auschwitz, and I really enjoyed learning about that topic. I found it so interesting, obviously incredibly saddening as well. So that kind of leads me on to my next hobby of reading. I sort of have three categories of books that I like to read. So anything to do with like Auschwitz, World War II, I do love reading books about that. The big ones at the moment that are out and about are obviously Tattooist of Auschwitz and Silke's Journey, both of which I thoroughly enjoyed. Although I did enjoy Silke's Journey just that little bit more, and I was a bit more moved by it. Another topic that I really love to read is medical books. Obviously that comes as no surprise at all given my choice of career that I want to go into, but I really enjoy reading books about medicine, or I really like the new editions of like diary entry books. I love Adam Kay. I really enjoyed his books, both of them, and we enjoyed them so much that we went to his tour for his first book, This Is Going to Hurt, which was so much fun. The other books that I like to read, like not genre wise but topic wise, I don't want to talk too much about because it could be quite triggering for people watching, but I do like reading books about people's experiences with different types of abuse. Obviously quite heavy to read, but doing a degree that I do, we are exposed to a lot of heavy topics, and that is something that I am interested into going into. Yeah, I don't really want to say too much about it, but I will definitely link my Goodreads account down below. This is something that I have only recently made, but something that I do want to keep on top of because I've come to a bit of a rut with reading at the minute. So I think having a Goodreads account will hold me accountable, if you like, and encourage me to read a little bit more. And then just brief other hobbies that I have. I love to shop. I've got way too many clothes. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video. So I do love shopping, and I really cannot wait to crack out the jumpers and move into autumn. I'm very excited for that. So I love clothes shopping, but I also love a good food shop. It's literally the most exciting point of my week at the moment, and pretty much has been all throughout lockdown. And then other than that, my hobbies are pretty standard. I do enjoy like socialising with friends, family. A lot of my family live local because, as you can I don't know if you can tell, you probably can tell, I actually come from Birmingham, so a lot of my family still live over there, so we do like visiting them, spending a bit of time with them. Obviously haven't been able to as much during COVID, but now the rules are relaxing a little bit, we can see a bit more of them, which is lovely. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's probably so many more things like that I enjoy doing, but that's all I can really think of off the top of my head. I suppose the last sort of question is, why have I started a channel? I probably should have started the video with this, but I'll put it in quickly here. This is something that I have wanted to do for absolutely years. Since sixth form, I've been talking about creating a YouTube channel. I first started watching YouTube when I was actually in sixth form, so quite old. I actually typed in something about revision tips and came across Unjaded Jade's channel, which then also opened me up to the world of StudyTube. And then you just, I don't know how you come across YouTubers, but you just come across them from watching others. Now I'm not fully immersed in the StudyTube world. I do pretty much still do watch a lot of them, to be fair. So that's how I first started getting into watching YouTube, and ever since then I've wanted my own channel, but there was always just sort of an excuse as to why I wasn't doing it. It was, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. But now I've reached the point where I'm like, oh my god, I've missed out on filming so much, so many memories for me to look back on. And I think that's the whole point of me starting this channel, really. All throughout uni I've watched a YouTuber called Charlotte Emily Price, and every time I was watching some of her videos I was like, oh, I could be filming something like this. But again, I just had the excuse. So now I've sort of been like, come on, like, pull yourself together. You want a channel and there's literally nothing stopping you. So I have actually purchased a camera. I use a Canon G7X Mark II, but I don't actually have any other equipment of my own. Everything that I do use is actually Charlie's. She used to study a media degree, so she had all equipment and things for that, like tripods and things, which is obviously what I'm using now. So I actually use Charlie's tripod, and I can't afford a MacBook, so I edit on Charlie's very, very old MacBook that she's got, and she's just kind enough to let me use her equipment instead, which is obviously something that I'm very grateful for. But I just figured it doesn't matter about equipment, it doesn't matter about money. This is something that I really want to do. I love looking back at things, so that's why I've kind of made this channel, for me to look back on my memories, look back on my uni experience. Instagram isn't cutting it for me anymore. I only made my Instagram last year, but now I just crave something a little bit more. I'll still leave my Instagram link back down below because I do try to be really active on there. I love it, it's a little outlet for me. So long story short, I started a channel. And then another question is probably, what sort of videos will I film? I think I've already kind of touched on this a lot. I obviously have already uploaded a few little bits, like travel videos and stuff. As I said, they're not going to be very common, but hopefully I will be able to pick up travelling again. I'm also starting a Masters in 2 weeks' time, so uni content will be coming your way, which I'm so excited for, but also I am dead scared to start a Masters. And then other than that, I suppose it's just more like standard videos. I'd love to do like shopping hauls. I basically have just decided that I don't want to pick up the camera and film something just for the sake of filming it. Like, I don't want to live my life for the camera. I just want to live my life and then film around that, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. So for that reason, I am at the moment only uploading once a week, which right now feels very manageable, and I did consider uploading a little bit more, but then as I start uni again, I'm going to be busier. So I just think for now once a week will do me fine. I upload on Wednesdays at like 4:45, so that's sort of me for now. But as I said, like, I don't want to live my life for the camera, so if 1 week there's not a video, like, I'm not sweating it. So yeah, I suppose I'll just round that up here. Like, I'm sure there's much more to me, I just really can't think about it. I'll leave any links to things that I've spoken about down below. So yeah, thank you so much for watching again, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye!